So David, why don't more people reach out for help, reach out for a coach, work with an advisor? What are you finding?
So one of the biggest problems is trust. There's been declining trust in traditional financial institutions, declining trust in financial advisors. People don't know who to trust. They don't know who to turn to. And as a result, they try to muddle through on their own. And that leads them to fall prey to those biases and heuristics, which really compromise decision making. So we actually did an experiment at BE Works where what we tried to do was to address those attitudes and perceptions. But even that's not enough, because we found that 40% of the intention is reflected in the behavior. So even if you can get people to decide that they want to seek and follow advice, that only explains 40% of what they actually do. So there's so many other barriers that get in the way. Like as an example, these heuristics and biases that we've talked about. One of them is illusory superiority. We think we know more than we do. We think we're more capable than we are. And it's hard to detect it. So as an example, if I were to ask you, do you know how a 10-speed bicycle works? Everyone goes, of course. Do you know how the gears work? Of course. You pedal and the wheel goes. Okay, drive. Maybe I don't know as much about that as I thought I knew about it. And we do that with complex, risky, consequential decisions like financial decision making. So that's illusory superiority does it. And it is kind of funny because we all have an objective knowledge. What you actually know. If you wrote a test, what do you actually know? How many questions do you get right? But we also have a subjective knowledge. How much do you think you know? And when you ask people how many they think they'll get right, and compare that to how many they actually get right, you get people who think they know more than they really do, and you also have people who think they know less than they really do. And the really dangerous part is when you think you know more than you really do, when your subjective knowledge is higher than your objective knowledge. And that's that overconfidence, that illusory superiority. And a great way around that, as an example, if you go to the MoneyWise workplace site and just start reading about all of the various topics you have. And we've done this where we ask people, how much do you know about investing in mutual funds? They say, I know all about it. And then you give them 10 simple questions. And even if you don't give them the answers to the questions, just reading about the complexity, they go, wait a minute, I don't know as much as I thought I did. So just starting to go to sources of information can be really good to reduce that illusory superiority, reduce that overconfidence, and make it more likely that you'll not just intend to seek advice, but you'll actually do it and follow through on it. And again, the outcome is a better financial outcome that, to your benefit for doing that. And, that's what is called an example of debiasing, where someone is biased thinking they know more than they do, and something as simple as just getting them to read about retirement planning will debias them and make them more likely to actually say, you know what, I should really get some advice on how to do this properly.
And how is it best to get that information in front of people, do you think, either industry-wise or government at different stakeholders, to have people understand that they know less than they think they do?
Yeah. Well, again, we said there's declining trust in traditional financial institutions, declining trust in financial advisors. That's why I actually like the MoneyWise workplace, because it's an independent source of advice. You're not selling the mutual funds.
Right.
You're not selling the investments. You're getting people to understand them. And so it's actually more likely that they might listen.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And also, just because of that lack of trust, do you feel that maybe people don't know how to shop for an advisor, don't know whom? And also, I'll put another part to that question. When they do reach out, are they getting what they need? Does the industry need to take some notes as well?
It is really hard to determine when you're getting good financial advice, because you only find out how good it is years in the future.
Right.
That's one of the very difficult things, is you don't know the quality of advice. So I would encourage people to look around and find something that makes you comfortable. One of the advantages to a workplace is you're already talking to your workplace about insurance and healthcare and pensions and benefits, and your employer's not trying to sell you anything.
Exactly.
They're actually trying to give you the financial support you need so that you can focus on work without worrying about money.
Right. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, David.